You're watching Lit Sports Online, and we've got a World Cup champion here, baby. U.S. women's team.
Let's go.
2019 World Cup champions in France, and whoa, like you said, back-to-back.
Back-to-back. Wow.
That's pretty damn impressive, I must say.
Impressive. Even more impressive that out of the 7 World Cups since 1991, the U.S. has won 4. 4 of them. Holy shit.
And I mean, look, you had Megan Rapinoe scoring with the penalty kick, and then Rose Lavelle just kind of closing out with that second goal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, though, the United States women's team, they could have actually scored multiple more goals in this game, but a win's a win. 2-0 is a dominant win regardless. And, as for the Dutch, I think they, for the most part of the match, defended and good goalkeeping, but nothing offensively for them.
At all. I think obviously that penalty kick is what really shifted the game because up until then it was exciting, but of course it had been very back and forth, a lot of good goaltending, but goalkeeping. But until that penalty kick, all shit let loose, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, if you just look at the first half, the United States had 60% of the possession, yet no goals from that. And then you get to the second half, and then that's when it finally breaks open. You get the penalty shot, and then from there, the second goal. And, it really was just a fantastic performance from the United States. They did what they needed to do. But it does also bring up the larger question for me, and I've thought about this quite a bit, is why does our women's team do so much better than our men's team in this?
Yeah, that's also a good question, because it's not like the soccer culture's any different at the club level, the high school levels. Virtually men and women in America at least, go through the same, popularity of soccer. It's not the biggest sport. I think it is gaining a lot more popularity now. But I think, at least coming up, at least when we were younger, I don't think it was like everybody wanted to be a football player, everybody wanted to be a basketball player. But I think with the women's team doing so good, it's encouraging a lot of younger girls to get better. To get good, to be like, hey, one day I could be there. One day I can make history and be the 5th time they win the World Cup, And I think for the men's, it's just like, I don't think the support is 100% behind them because it's like you really haven't seen anything. They didn't even qualify for the last World Cup. They lost to Mexico in the Gold Cup. To me, I don't know. I think the women are definitely, obviously, the more superior team, but yeah, I don't know.
Certainly the team with more accomplishments on the
way
record.
More.
That's for damn sure. And I don't know. It's a tough question to ask, but I think you look at soccer on a global level. It's the most popular sport globally, and I think that these other countries, they just must really take that serious as their only real sport. And so you see countries with much smaller populations than us have a competitive men's team, yet our women's team is really great.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with, maybe we here in the United States take our women's sports a little more seriously than perhaps some of these other countries. And maybe, like you said, the fact that, really here for the men's teams, we focus a lot more on like football, basketball, baseball. Those are all more popular sports for the men's teams.
And I think, one thing you also see with a lot of third world countries where I dare say maybe women aren't as valued as much as men. Soccer is traditionally a very cheap sport to play. All you really need is a ball. And you could become one of the best soccer players if you work hard enough. And I think in a lot of those smaller countries where it's like, they may not have enough people to put a football squad together or even an interest in football, basketball, or any of the big American sports, soccer's just easy, it's doable, and what you get is amazing men's play, but, at least compared to the U.S.
Right, but... also getting back to the women's team and their performance, I remember seeing, one of the previous World Cup teams that had Abby Wambach, and she retired, and then you started to wonder, how's the team going to look after her retirement? And yet, here comes Alex Morgan coming along, now you have Rose Lavelle, who's becoming a star, and it's like, they're finding women to replace the old guard, and Megan Rapinoe's still going strong. I don't know how many World Cups she'll have left in her.
I dare say she may not be in the next one.
Might not be in the next one, but she actually goes out on a high note. Golden boot, golden ball,
oh my God.
Best player of the tournament, most goals in the tournament. So that's a high note to go out on, winning the World Cup and also having both of those honors. So even if it is their last World Cup, I mean, it's a great note to go out on. And I mean, the United States, I think, has to remain going forward the favorites for this tournament because you're talking about back-to-back championships.
Again, like you said, I think the feeder system for women's soccer is just a lot better than the men's. And I don't think that at least the U.S. women's national team is going to be slowing down anytime soon. And that's great for us.
Yep. So at this point, I mean, you know, I think the women's team has made that high bar about as high as you can possibly go. You know, I think what we need to work on as a country is our men's team and also our club teams because, let's face it, MLS isn't taken very seriously. I think we need to see some more quality there, and we need to see some more quality from our men's national team. But, you know, definitely proud of our women's team as they continue to dominate. Let's hope it continues throughout the future. Go America.
Go USA. Let's do it.